Hello everybody, welcome back to the stream. It's Saturday morning, which means that it's time for the weekend kickoff. Nice little strength and stamina focused bodyweight class to get us energized for, if this is your weekend, energized for the weekend, and if this is, not a traditional weekend for you, energized for the next couple of days. Hi everybody, I got started a little slightly later than I usually like to, so I hope everyone's doing okay. I'm clearly moving a little bit slowly this morning. Just freaking out about the state of our country, so I didn't sleep particularly well, but I'm happy to be here. I'm always happy to be here on the stream with you all because, this is a place where we can gather and we can take care of our bodies, we can have a little fun, and we can gain the strength and the energy that we need to go out and fight for justice in whatever way we can and choose to do so. So, yeah, thanks for joining me on this Saturday morning. It is a beautiful morning. It's going to be hot here, almost 100, I think, is what I saw on my phone this morning. So I will probably turn on the AC before I start up the warm-up, but hopefully it's not as warm wherever you are, and if it is, turn on that AC, please. Please don't, no heat strokes in our apartments while we're doing intense classes. Oh my goodness. Oh, I had a very unfortunate experience yesterday, and good. Everything is a learning experience, and I'm still getting to know Streamlabs and YouTube and all, and Twitch streaming and all this stuff. But I downloaded the VOD from Wednesday's class and discovered that in that class, the frame rate was just so bad that the entire stream was completely unusable. And I want to apologize to anybody who actually took that class that day, because clearly, Streamlabs sort of psyched me out, because on Tuesday I was getting these frame rate warnings, but the people in my chat said that it was fine, and so I didn't worry about it on Wednesday when I was getting the same warnings, and clearly that was a mistake. So yeah, sadly there will not be a VOD up for this past week's jump around class, because it drove me crazy just trying to watch it, and I can't imagine it would actually be a useful tool for anyone. So live and learn. A friend of mine just told me that I can there is a way to sort of save the local recording of this, and so if I have that issue going forward, I at least have another copy of it. So I'm going to figure that out, obviously, and go from there. But yeah, always disappointing to have those moments. But as I've said on multiple occasions, I just have to make my way through the checklist of baby streamer mistakes. So, we've done no mic on, we've done camera on when I didn't intend it to be on, and now we've done huge lag on a stream. So, hopefully these are all mistakes that only get made once. Yay! All right, my dears. I think that it's time to get ourselves kicked off. This class is going to be mostly focused on strength and stamina. A little bit of cardio in there, because there's a little bit of cardio in all classes, but yeah, we're going to be taking our time, really focusing in on each exercise that we do. So let's get ready for that mindset. As a heads up, I'm still on my own personal rest week, so I'm going to be, obviously demonstrating everything, but not doing the exercises as much with you as I usually do, because I'm trying to let my body rest, trying to put my money where my mouth is, as I lecture you guys about the importance of rest all the time, so I better be doing it too. But let's do our pre-class checklist. We got our water bottles all filled up and ready to go. Water. Water's a good thing. We've got our comfy clothes on, getting ready to move around and whatever makes you feel good. We've got our mats set up. You know what my mat setup looks like at this point. And if you are using a fitness wearable, now is the time to unlock your watch and then turn it on. So today will be high intensity interval training. So we can turn that buddy on and get ourselves ready for class. Yeah. All right. So let's see here. Oh, everybody over to our mats. Woo! You can tell that I only got up an hour and a half ago. I'm yawning my way through the beginning of class. But you know what? My goal is never to get on camera and pretend that I have it all figured out. My goal is to make sure that you always remember that, yeah, I am a normal human. And, yeah, it can be... You could be tired if you're getting up for it. This isn't even a particularly early morning class, you know. Obviously, there are classes that are taught at like 6 a.m. That's not, I think, ever going to be my jam. 9 a.m. is probably the earliest I would ever do a class, just in terms of when I like to personally wake up. But, you know, it can still feel a little early, so... If you're yawning, if you're still booting up your brain just for the process of being awake, totally fine, totally normal, and class will help. So let's get ourselves on our backs, on our mats, 1 foot crossed over the opposite knee. We're going to start with those hip rocks and bridges. As soon as you hear that horn, go. Yeah. All right. Yep, here we go. Woo. You know, sometimes... You start up the warm-up and you're like, you're having to actively hold yourself back because, you know, remembering that it's a boot-up sequence, not an opportunity for us to blast out all our energy right out of the gate. And sometimes you start the warm-up and you're like, oh, thank God this is boot-up sequence because I don't think I have the energy to go really hard right now. And that's one of the nice things about having, you know, a warm-up sequence that we can rely on at each class. You know, no matter what class we're doing this same warm-up sequence. And so, you know, you know what the exercises are, and you can really focus on warming up your body. And B, you can do those comparisons because it's always at the same point in class. So you're always at the same, you know, energy level in terms of how much exercise you've done. Presumably you're not coming straight into this class from some other form of exercise. That would be a little intense. So, you know, just start to notice these things. Start to notice, okay, this is how I feel on the warm-up on a Saturday morning. I don't feel as immediately energetic. Maybe, you know, maybe Tuesdays are my most energetic days, or maybe Fridays are, you know, who knows. But you can make those comparisons. You can start to notice the different sensations in your body, the different ways that your body reacts to exercise when it's earlier in the morning versus later at night, when you're, you know, starting off a day that you don't have anything scheduled versus when you're coming off of a day full of work versus when you're doing a class at the end of the day, but it was a rest day, you know. Just start to notice all of these things, and it's good information for you to learn about your body and about your energy levels and about how you process energy throughout your day up to and including when you are exercising. All right, we are on our sides now. We're doing our best Jane Fonda. Remember, there are 2 more exercises on this side before we roll over and do everything on the other side. So when the horn goes off, don't immediately go, okay, time to Jane Fonda on the other side. Nope, we got 2 more things to do. And you probably know that. But we're trying to stay in this nice straight line. So I've engaged my core to help keep that balance up on my hip. I'm engaging the glute on my working leg so that it feels, so it's helping to pull me into that straight line that I'm going for. All right, now I'm going to take that top foot flat on the floor in front of the bottom knee, lifting that bottom leg, Oh, and just chilling. Just chilling, my friends. Remember, the foot on the working leg, I don't have strong preferences. You can leave it sort of neutral. You can flex it the whole time. You can point it the whole time. I go back and forth. I've noticed, I used to say that I defaulted to keeping it flexed, but recently I've noticed that I do kind of go back and forth between flexed or neutral foot. So it really isn't particularly critical to this warm-up activity itself. So whatever you feel more comfortable with, whatever you can maintain while warming up, again, remembering that this is our opportunity to boot up rather than try and push ourselves for lots of intensity. All right, that foot's now behind the bottom knee. We're still lifting that bottom leg. And after this one, we will roll over and do that whole sequence again, starting with Jane Fonda on the other side. So this is our last exercise on this side. Still lifting that same bottom leg. So it's getting a nice little workout here. And then it's going to become the top leg in a second. So it's gonna really feel some things. So honestly, and I should do this more for myself, I tend to default into the starting side that I use. But honestly, I should probably be alternating which side I start on each class, because whatever side you start on, whatever the bottom leg is on that side is going to have that intensity of doing 3 sets in a row. So here I am on the 3rd set for this leg as I go into Jane Fonda. It had 2 sets as the bottom leg lifting in towards the midline, and now it's the top leg and it's still lifting. So it gets more intensity of work than my other leg, which has a nice little break in between. It's going to have 2 sets in a row in a second, but it does not have that extra 3rd one. So I'm gonna start trying to remind myself to alternate my starting side, and I recommend that you do the same, just so that my left leg gets the fun of having to do 3 sets in a row sometimes. But right now, it's my right leg. This is the last time I'll have to use it for these sequences. I've got the nice straight line in my body, and now it gets its just reward. Foot flat on the floor in front of the bottom knee. Now I'm lifting that bottom leg. Remember our aspirational position: flat foot on the floor, knee pointing straight up towards the ceiling. I have to engage the muscles in my hip socket on this side in order to maintain this position. If I don't do that, the knee starts to cave forward like that. So it's not hugely dangerous form-wise for this. However, this is a great time for you to start practicing engaging the muscles in your hips to help keep your knee in a safer position. We do a lot of things where it's important that the knee is pointing straight up at the ceiling or staying straight over your feet when we're doing squats, and all of that can be helped by really engaging the muscles in that hip socket. So this is a good opportunity to start practicing that. All right, a nice low impact opportunity to be like, okay, let's see where my knee ends up when I just engage a few more muscles. Okay, but now we're on our last leg for this sequence. Lifting that bottom leg, top foot is flat on the floor behind the bottom knee. So we're in a pretty stable position right now. We're not really worried about rolling backwards because this foot's keeping us safe. And we're not really worried about rolling forwards because we're not up on our hip in the same way that we are when we do the Jane Fonda. So we're pretty chill here. Just lifting this leg. Interesting. I tend to flex my foot when I'm doing this sequence when it's my left leg that's working. When it's my right leg, it tends to be more neutral. See? Even now, I'm still learning new things about the way my body responds to exercise. And that's really something that I want to encourage. Just having that curiosity about your body and about what it's doing and when it's doing it, and why it's doing it. You know, the more curious that we can be, the more information we'll be able to gather, and that helps us to continue working out more safely, more intelligently, so that we are able to stay nice and active for as long as we want, which is probably going to be a long time. We like moving around. We like being able to climb stairs and all that jazz. Let me get this tote bag out of the way. Keep kicking it. Alrighty. Hey, standing, holding our imaginary PVC pipe. Oh, doing our nice big torso rotations. Are you feeling it in your hamstrings? Because I am. When I come down here and through that big circle position, I feel that nice stretch in my hamstrings, and I'm keeping my knees straight, you know, not locked, but they are straight the whole time. I'm not squatting them or bending them or anything like that. And remember, we're initiating the movement from our hips. We're not trying to move our arms and then follow after them. Our arms should stay in the same position relative to our heads, no matter where we are. I'm holding that pipe. I have not changed where my arms are at all the movement coming from my hips. All right, still holding that pipe. Here we are. Speaking of squats, we've made it to squats. So what do we start checking in on? We start checking in on our knee positioning. Are they going safely straight over our feet through the whole sequence of movement? That's the other component. I can come down here and be like, sure, straight over my feet. But if, as I'm standing, they're caving in, then I still am not doing it correctly. So you want to be able to squat down and stand up without them caving towards each other. And if you can't, then we narrow and we try it again. We go, okay, I can do that. I can maintain that. And we will practice like that until you feel strong enough to widen that stance again, okay? Alrighty, here we go. We've thrown down our imaginary pipes and we're doing our nice Samson stretch. Good morning to your hip sockets. This is, you know, getting them nice and stretched out for the day. You know, when we do classes in the afternoon, frequently it's after we've spent an entire day, you know, sitting at a desk without a ton of movement or standing without a ton of moving around. And, you know, both of these things in different ways can be really hard on your hips. Your hips are not getting a lot of movement, getting a lot of stretching. So that's why in this sequence, we really want to sink down into this position. Don't try and open your hip up and just feel that stretch. Alrighty. Hey, speaking of stretch, I'm now down in this nice wide squat position, hands on my knees so that they will stay safely over my feet. Even in this position, we still want our knees to be safely over our feet and not caving in. That becomes a particular danger as we bring a shoulder in towards the midline. That other knee wants to follow, okay? So part of it is keeping your hands on your knees and they sort of lever them out and keep that pressure on them so that they can't follow in. But if you're still struggling, then you might have your feet turned out too far, you know. As a dancer, I can maintain this, but if you need to not turn your feet out as far, now it's easier for me to keep my knees over my feet. All right, here we are. We have reached the cardio portion of class. I can tell that I had tea way too recently. But we're in the end game now for our boot up sequence. So just nice, relaxing jumping jacks, getting our heart rate going up a little bit, getting our breath coming a little bit faster. But again, we're still not trying to push ourselves to 11 because we have 45 minutes left in class after this warm-up is done. So you do not want to be using all of your energy right now and then being like, man, I couldn't do anything in class. Why was it so hard? Maybe it was harder than usual. Nah, you just used all your energy in the warm-up and then had nothing left. All right, coming down for kick-throughs. Remember all of these form notes, especially, this is one of the most complex exercises that we have in the warm-up. So making sure that our standing leg, 90-degree angles, knee pointing up towards the ceiling, not letting your butt come way down to the floor like this, trying to keep your knee from caving in towards you, trying to keep your shoulder over your wrist, and then jumping to the other side and doing the same thing, okay? Going back and forth. Go slowly and deliberately until you feel like you have a handle on all of the components. And then you can start to speed it up. You can add that little jump between feet as you're transitioning from one side to the other. But make sure that you have all of the form components down before you go into that, okay? All right, so here is our last warm-up exercise, and it's burpees. Make sure it's a wave push-up, okay? Not a plank push-up. I'm sure that there are people out there who are like, but I can totally do a plank push-up. And I have no doubt that you can. And don't worry, there'll be time for that, but that time is not right now. So just make sure that you are doing that wave, jumping your feet up, clapping, nice victory clap up at the top, and keeping your elbows in nice and close to your sides. And then pumping your fist in the air because you made it through the warm-up. Woo! All right, good job, everybody. Let's come back over to our water bottles and enjoy. Just enjoy some water. All right. So, first thing we are going to do today, we are going to start off with lots and lots of toe squats. Not surprising to many of you, I'm sure. So, what you are going to do is you are going to pick a number between 150 and 300, okay? And I'm just going to have my my stopwatch going. It's not going to be a traditional timer, but you're going to have 10 to 12 minutes to get to that number of toe squats, okay? You can take as many rests as you need to, but you have to do a consistent number of reps before each rest. So if you start out and you do 20 reps and then you're like, okay, it's rest time, awesome. You're now doing 20 reps each time. If you start out and you get to 50 reps and then you're like, all right, now I need a rest, that's great. Now you're doing 50 reps each time, okay? And if you're there, that's awesome. It's really exciting when you get there. Eventually, you will get to the place where you can just bang out all of your reps in a row without stopping. And that's a thrilling moment. If you're not there though, that's fine. That's totally fine. It takes a while to build up to that. I think it took me like over a year. So remember, for form, Our feet are about hip width apart. We're trying to keep our backs straight up and down as we go down, letting the heels come off the ground and then go back onto it, and maintaining control of the movement no matter where you are. All right? So everybody back to your mats. No, Siri, go away. And get ready. Make sure you have that number in your head. Get ready, get set, and we are off. So we're not going to have a timer going with horns or anything like that. This is all on you. At about 12 minutes, I will kick us over to our 2-minute rest timer. If you're still going, that's fine. Just know that you will have less rest before we start what comes after the toe squats. So, you know, always keeping that in mind. Keep that in mind when you choose your number too. You know, we want to challenge ourselves. We also want to be realistic. If the last time that we did this, you only made it to 150, maybe don't make your number 300 today. Maybe don't even make your number 200 today. Make it 160 or 175, you know? We want to challenge ourselves, but we want to be realistic, and we also don't want to demoralize ourselves, you know? So there is an art to creating goals that are challenging but attainable. Because if you're setting up a goal for yourself where you're like, I'm gonna lift, you know, I'm gonna lift a car over my head in just after 3 months of work, you're setting yourself up for failure, okay? So making sure that we are being honest about our abilities and honest about where we are right now, so that when we set a goal, it feels like a challenge, but it also is something that we can attain and then feel really excited and proud of ourselves when we do. So that is our goal. A few more form notes as we're going along. Remembering that we do not want gravity to take control of this movement. So it's very easy, you know, we're just heading down towards the floor, really easy to be like, oh, well, gravity can give me a hand. And then you get down here and you're bouncing around on your knees. It's bad for your knees, okay? So even if I'm going quickly, I want to be in control the whole time. The other thing is you really want to be engaging your core muscles on this, because you want to make sure that all of your weight in your torso is controlled. It is not moving in a direction that your body doesn't expect, okay? Because we're coming down onto a relatively small surface area. We're on the balls of our feet, so we're not even on our whole feet. So it's the balls of our feet and our ankles, which are also not that big, that are having to bear the weight of our body as we're down in this position. So if I'm not engaging my core and my torso is like, I'm gonna come over here, well then suddenly I'm tumbling over, I'm going in a direction I didn't expect to go. You know, best case scenario, I'm throwing myself out of my rhythm. Worst case scenario, I injure myself because I didn't have control over that weight. So you start here, you get into your nice stable position, feet hip width apart, core engaged, glutes ready. All right, I'm ready. I'm gonna come down. My core is engaged. My torso isn't going anywhere. And so my ankles and the balls of my feet do not have to worry about all of this weight suddenly going off in a direction that they don't expect. And then I can start to go a little bit faster, okay? It's hard. It takes a while to build up to that. And, you know, you won't necessarily be able to hold it consistently. So again, these are the things that we want to notice about our body. Notice when in the cycle of reps, it starts to become harder to maintain that form. That then informs
how many reps we want to do in a set. Next time we come around to this, you know, what our goal number is, and just helps us to understand what we need to pay attention to and what we may need to build up in order to be able to hit those goals. Now, when you're taking your rests, absolutely stretch out, okay? Absolutely take some time and stretch out a little bit. So stretches that we can do, quads are an obvious one. We've got a nice standing quad stretch where I just take one foot in my hand, pull that heel up against my butt as close as I can until I feel that stretch all along my quad, the top of my quad. If you need assistance, because it is a balance, obviously do it next to a wall or next to a counter. So, and then evening out, go into that other side. Again, in the vein of noticing things about our body. Which quad is tighter right now? Which quad is working harder, you know? Then we can stretch out our calves. So if you have a wall, I'm gonna pretend that I have a wall in front of me. I'm gonna, you know, slight bend in my front leg, and I'm reaching my other leg back. I want to be able to put my heel fully on the ground, okay? Keeping this leg straight, I'm not bending it. Keeping that leg straight and getting that heel fully on the ground. So having a wall in front of you can help because you can push and put that additional force to help get that heel all the way down to the ground and get a nice stretch in the calf. But you want to be gentle with that. You want to be very deliberate. You don't want to force it down, okay? Because we've talked about muscle fibers and how their natural desire is to contract, okay? And when we're stretching, our goal as we stretch is to get the muscle fibers to elongate, to stretch out without activating their natural desire to contract. And so if I'm coming over here and I'm like, I'm gonna really push that heel down, suddenly my calf is like, holy crap, we're activating. I'm supposed to be contracting. And so it's trying to pull together, but I'm putting this force on it that's forcing it to pull apart. And that's how we end up with, at best, micro tears, and at worst, hurting something, you know? There's a reason why a lot of current research points to eccentric muscle actions, which are the stretching muscle actions, as the cause of a lot of next day muscle soreness, DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness. You know, and research is still ongoing. You know, previously everybody assumed it was buildup of lactic acid in the muscles that caused DOMS. Now we're not so sure, but another pretty solid theory is that, you know, we form these micro tears when we utilize eccentric muscle actions simply because it's going against the muscle fiber's natural tendency. So when you're coming over here and you're setting yourself up for a stretch, you want to get into that position as gently as you can so that you can really stretch the muscle out without the muscle feeling like it's supposed to be activating and thus is supposed to be contracting, okay? So even as you're up against the wall, pushing against it, helping to get that heel down towards the floor, really pay attention to that and don't try to shove it down, okay? Try to move slowly into it, and then, you know, maybe you're like, okay, that was a little easy, so bring the foot back a little farther, and again, repeat, etc., etc. That was a long digression, but it's important information to have. And you guys are doing great. Oh my goodness. 9 minutes in, hopefully you are well on your way to finishing out your number. The other stretch that I meant to reference, obviously this is really intense on our feet, so just coming over, bending your foot over top like this helps to stretch it out. You're going to feel a lot of cramping in your arches if you are new to toe squats. You know, it took several months, before I reached the point where I could get through an entire sequence of toe squats without then feeling a lot of cramping in my arches. So it's totally natural. And if you're taking your break, stretching over the top of your foot like that, you'll feel a stretch along the top and then going up into the shin. And that can help just, because we're doing this motion a ton, so it just helps to even it out, get it stretched in the opposite direction, and feel a little better. You can also sit down and give yourself a foot massage, Hey, that is also totally an option. So hopefully everybody's coming along. You've been doing the same number of reps between each rest that you might have taken. You are hopefully well on your way. Actually, hopefully you're almost at the end of your goal number of reps. Keep in mind too, that if you finish your reps early, then you get more rest time. Yeah, more rest time, more time to drink water. Woo! So keep that in mind. Nice little carrot out there. If you've already finished your reps right now, then you get an extra minute of rest, because we have 1 more minute before I'm going to switch over to that rest interval timer. So, for those of you who have already finished, congratulations. Hope you're drinking that water. For those of you who are finishing up right now, you're awesome. You are doing so well. And you know what? Maybe you have to go a little bit past the timer. That's totally fine. Guess what? You're alone in your living room. You don't have to compare yourself to anyone else. You just have to do what is good for your body. And that is really awesome and really important. And it's something that I love about doing these classes, is that for people who may feel intimidated in a group setting, which is totally understandable, especially, when you're going to a class that is filled with people who it feels like they're all more advanced than you are, it can be nice to have an opportunity to do a class like this just in the comfort of your own home, and to not have that pressure to perform, Because the only one seeing you is you. I'm just here as a cheerleader and a teacher. All right, my dears, well done. That was 12 minutes. We are now on our rest. How did that feel? I hope that everybody got to their goal number. And if you didn't, that's totally fine. Again, you're gathering more information, okay? So now you have a sense of how many toe squats you can reasonably do currently in about 12 minutes. And that is super useful information. So the next time that I get on this camera and I say, hey, pick a number between 150 and 300, you'll know what to do. You'll know where you got to last time, and you'll know how to increment up in a reliable way. So you can be like, okay, I got here last time. I think maybe I could get like 10 more in if I really worked on it. And then when you succeed at that, you're like, yes, awesome, look at me go. All right, make sure you're drinking your water, my friends. All this talking definitely makes the throat a little parched. Thank goodness it's exercise class, so drinking water is pretty normal. All right, my loves, we are now going to do a perpetual motion set, and it's going to be 1 minute work intervals. So our perpetual motion, we have no rest intervals, so we are just going straight for 9 minutes. We're gonna have 3 exercises, cycle through them 3 times each. So here are our exercises. First one, this is gonna be a little funky. I haven't done this in a while, so hopefully the demonstration makes sense. So we're gonna start up here in a downward dog position, and we're going to bend our elbows and dive forward until I'm here looking up at the ceiling. And then bend our elbows again and push back to this position. And forward and backward, okay? So it's gonna feel a little awkward, especially when you're pushing back. Make sure to keep those elbows by your sides, okay? So that we're really concentrating the work on the triceps. Slow and steady. You have to do it for a minute. We're not trying to win a race today, okay? Second exercise is our slow leg lower. So this is our awesome ab exercise. So I start on my back, feet up, straight in the air, and I'm tilting my pelvis and engaging my core so that my lower back is flat against the floor, glued to the floor. I've got my hands, try to shove my fingers under there. They can't get under there because it is flat against the floor. It's not going anywhere. And then we slowly start lowering the legs. We stop every 15 degrees or so, hold for 2 seconds, and then keep going. Stop, hold for 2 seconds. The most important thing is that you do not let that lower back come off the ground. If you do, then it's time to reset and start again, okay? So be honest with yourself. Keep your hands here so that you can test. Try and poke your fingers under and go, oh no, I can't make it under there, okay? But be honest with yourself. And then our third exercise, again, on our backs, and we're just gonna do a held bridge, and you can do one of two versions. You can be here, my feet are flat on the floor, knees pointing up towards the ceiling, and we're just gonna push up to here and hold, okay? So really engaging those glutes to keep, you wanna get your hips up as high as they can go and keep them there. Don't let them slowly be coming down over the course of the minute. If you want slightly different challenge, hands back here. Oh my goodness, look at this. Did you used to do bridges when you were a kid and just having a lot of fun? So again, you have to be able to hold that for a full minute. So choose wisely. So those are our exercises. We've got our forward and reverse dives. We've got our slow leg lower, and we've got our held bridge. So as soon as you hear that timer, everybody back to your mats, because as soon as you hear the timer go, you will be moving. Where did that timer go? All right, sorry folks. Okay, so we're going through each exercise 3 times each, so it's going to be a total of 9 minutes. All right, get ready. Get yourself prepared, and as soon as you hear it, okay, we're going. So we're coming through. See, my elbows are staying by my sides. I look up, and we're not getting back down to the floor as closely as we can when we dive forward, okay? So we need to push that butt back as we're going. So it's not as graceful going backwards. Mostly, it's just that we're not going straight back like that. We are taking a little bit of a bend in the elbows and then using the arms to really push ourselves back into that downward dog rather than just using pressure against our hands. We are actively pushing with our arms. So it's a little bit weird, a little bit fun. You know, I'm constantly trying to figure out different ways that we can engage our arms with body weight since, you know, as I've said before, there's only so many things you can do with just your body that will activate your arms. You know, a lot of our even pull-ups require additional equipment, you know. And my goal with most of these classes, really all of these classes right now, is to have them be classes that you are able to do no matter where you are and no matter what equipment you have available to you. That's really important to me because it can be really easy for our exercise routine to get interrupted by change. You know, we go on a trip and we're in a hotel and we're like, well, I don't know where the gym is, or I don't feel comfortable being in a strange gym, you know, this room, it's not really well set up, and you know, so then we rationalize away, and you know, we come to the end of our trip and we haven't moved our bodies, we haven't gotten any exercise in. So my goal is to help us to stimulate our creativity and go, no, honestly, as long as I have a timer app and a patch of ground that is roughly the size of a yoga mat, I can get a really awesome workout in. And, you know, so that's another thing that I love about doing these classes online, is that we have these streams. You can take the stream with you no matter where you are, obviously in a tent class, or if you can't make the stream time itself, go to the YouTube channel and take the class off the VOD. So you always have access, as long as you have an internet connection, you have access to this class. And as long as you have a patch of ground about the size of a yoga mat, you have the ability to do a really awesome class, a really awesome workout. And I love that. I love that. That's one of the things that's made me really happy about doing these classes. It's just, it feels like opening up exercise to people so that they have more ways to engage with it. And that's the most important thing from my perspective. You know, I talk a lot about how the best type of exercise that you can do is the thing that you enjoy well enough to keep doing and can stick with. And so the more options that we have available to us, the easier it will be for us to find that activity or those activities, that class, going for a run, hiking, cycling, you know, just commuting by foot or by bike, any of these things. But the more options that we have, the easier it will be to create that tapestry of movement and of exercise. And yeah, so I love that we can do this. I love that we can gather at 9 a.m. on a Saturday without even leaving our homes and get a really awesome workout in, and then just be really pumped for the rest of the weekend. So, woo! Everybody's doing great work. Right now you're doing your slow leg lowers. Make sure you are checking on those lower backs. That is the most critical component of this exercise. That's how you know you are actually performing the exercise, actually getting that core engagement, okay? And I talk about this a lot. A lot of ab exercises, it can be really easy to try and compensate with other muscle groups, and then you're not actually working your core, you're, you know, unhealthily working other muscle groups. This exercise is something that you can't really fudge, you know. I'm lying on my back and I'm not lifting anything, so I can't fudge by trying to pull myself along by my head or my neck. And as soon as you engage that core to keep that back flat, as long as that back is flat, I can't really use any other muscle groups to keep this all going. So it really allows you to really focus in on your core in a way that we don't always get to do. Of course, right now you're doing held bridge, but still, the point still stands. The point still stands. I was very excited when I found that particular exercise on YouTube. And honestly, it's also a really good way to assess your core strength and see where it is, you know? Because if you can only get to 15 degrees before, oh man, no, my lower back is coming off the ground, then you've got some work to do. The good news is this exercise doubles as a strengthening exercise. So it's an assessment exercise and a strengthening exercise, and it's really awesome for both. So here we go. Whee! When you get a little bit of a rhythm going on it, it can feel kind of like being a boat. Whee! It's good to be able to laugh. Find ways to make yourself laugh while you're moving. Find ways to just take pure joy and pleasure in moving your body and going, wow, I can move my body, and that's really cool. Because it's just all of that stuff, it just makes the process more fun. It makes it more enjoyable. It makes it something that we want to actually stick with, okay? And that's the goal. That's why I focus on that, because exercise really is a really important tool in our toolbox for a healthy life, both physically and mentally. And in order to get those benefits, you want to be able to exercise relatively consistently, which means that you don't want to be trying to force yourself to do an activity that you don't enjoy, because you're gonna struggle really hard to keep that going, and it'll be a lot easier to be like, oh, well, I just don't feel like doing it today, so I'm gonna take the day off, and then suddenly you've taken a week off, and suddenly you haven't exercised in 6 months, and we've all done that, absolutely. So, that's why when people are like, I feel like I should be running, but I just hate running. I'm like, why should you be running? There's no need for running to be your exercise. If you hate it, if you don't enjoy it, if you have asthma or something that means that you can't actually do it comfortably or effectively, don't feel like you're supposed to shove yourself into being a runner. Just don't run. Like, I have enjoyed running at times, but I also know that it is never going to be my primary mode of exercise. It's not something I enjoy enough to be able to stick with. I tend to do one big race a year. There's although probably not this year. There's the Denver Rock and Roll Half Marathon every October, and I've done it with one exception every year for the last 5 years, I think. And I really enjoy doing that race. I don't enjoy training, and with the exception of the first year that I did it, I'm not really good at training for it. I'll start out and I'll have really grand plans for it, and then I'll peter out, and then I'll just sort of be like, all right, well, the race is going to be what it is, and that's fine. That's a perfectly fine approach, and I generally have a really great time, and I'm very proud of myself for this accomplishment. But it's also something where I'm like, I'm not ever going to be a runner. That is never going to be my primary mode of exercise. It is not something that I enjoy enough to stick with, and that's fine. Teaching these classes, this is something I enjoy enough to stick with, and that's kind of awesome to have the opportunity to teach and to get my own exercise in. It's basically the best of all worlds for me. So this has definitely been something that, for my own personal fitness, has basically revolutionized it in the last few months. All right. So now we're going to do a Tabata, 45 seconds of work to 15 seconds of rest. So still a pretty big chunk. All right. And here are our exercises. We're going to start with a squat to a knee raise. So taking our feet about shoulder width apart. So nice wider stance. Squat down, and as we stand up, we're going to come up onto one foot, bring the opposite knee up, and then squat and knee, squat and knee, squat and knee, over and over again. Then we're going to do our nice big lunge to the hand or elbow. So I'm going to go back into a nice deep lunge, straight leg behind. My knee is not pushing forward of my toes in front. And I'm gonna do one of three things. Just come down to the hand, or come down to the hand and then use that to transition down to the elbow, or bypass the hand completely, just come down to the elbow. And then I'm gonna push up to standing, back with the other leg, and over and over. And the third exercise is gonna be side-to-side planks. So we start in our plank position, our front plank position, butts out of the air, shoulders directly over our wrists. Come, let your heels drop to the side, up on one arm, other arm towards the ceiling. Hold here for a second, let the judges see it. Then back through the center and to the other side. And we're just going back and forth. All right? So those are our three exercises. Squat with the knee raise, lunge to the hand or elbow, and then side-to-side planks. So everybody back to your mat. Remember, this is a Tabata timer, so the first sound you hear does not mean go. First sound is rest, relax, go. Holy crap, 15 seconds, that's an extra 5 seconds of rest. That feels so luxurious. Ooh, but there's our knocking sound, so we're gonna prep, get our feet in position, and we are off as soon as we hear that fanfare, okay? So we talk about the bare minimum for class, starting on time, stopping on time, and doing the exercise correctly. For Tabatas, we're starting, you are always coming out of a rest. That means that as soon as you hear the first notes of that fanfare, you're going, okay? We're not waiting around for the end of it. You know, you need to make sure that your brain is locked on. So as soon as it hears that first sound, it's going, because we want to use as much of the interval as possible to actually do the exercise, okay? And if you're waiting to the end of the fanfare, you're losing several seconds. And 45 seconds, okay, is a fairly long amount of time, but we still want to use that whole time for our movement, okay? Just because it's a longer amount of time and you lose a smaller proportion of it if you delay, doesn't mean that we want to lose that proportion of it, okay? So now we're doing our lunge to the hand or elbow. If this is a new exercise for you, start conservatively. Just go to the hand, okay? And if you really, and then transition from there. So start with just going to the hand, and then if you're like, okay, I feel like I could get down to the elbow, then hand to elbow, all right? But it takes a lot of hip flexibility to just be able to go right down to the elbow. If your hips aren't there yet, again, don't try and force them into stretching, okay? All right, side to side planks. So coming up one side and then the other. Make sure that when you are in this side position, you've still got that shoulder directly over your wrist, okay? I'm gonna hold off on this one today because it's my rest week and I'm already really bad at that. I just want to show you how to do the exercises. Remember too, that whenever you're doing anything that requires you to be on your hands like this, it can be really hard on our wrists. You know, and I, in particular, I'm on these puzzle pieces, which is really great for most of my joints, but it does mean that I'm more likely to hyperflex my wrist in a way that's going to start impacting the nerves that go through it, and you get twinges, or, you know, at one point when I was still a server, I was getting numbness in my thumb because I was holding the trays like this, really heavy trays, and it was bending my hand back. So if that's something that you are dealing with, you have wrist issues, you can do almost all of these from up on your fists, okay? It feels a little bit harder to get used to, but as you can see, my wrist stays straight that whole time. Another thing you can do, another modification, if you have dumbbells, you can set them up and hold them like this. And so it does the same thing where it helps me to keep my wrist a bit straighter. Like if I'm here, if I'm trying to do push-ups, helps me to keep my wrist a little bit straighter and gives me something to hold on to, because sometimes doing it from that fist can be really hard as well in a different way, because we're sort of crunching on our hand in a way our hands are not used to. So lots of opportunities for modifications. Oh God, those dumbbells. They are just straight up metal and are not particularly pleasing from a tactile perspective to use. I do think at some point in the next few months I will probably try and outfit the house a little bit more with weights and maybe start doing a stream, because you know a lot of us do have equipment in our homes that we can use. So I may add in a stream in the coming months once I have equipment in my home that does a little bit more traditional free weight training. But I'm always going to keep functional home fitness. I'm always going to keep that stream where we focus on how can we weight train with just what we have available to us in our homes. It's really important to me that I help to spark your creativity, so that when you're like, well, I can't make it to the gym, so I can't weight train, then your brain goes, that's not true. I've got books, I've got bags, I've got laundry detergent bottles, I've got stock pots, I've got a whole host of anything that you have ever picked up in your home and gone, oh wow, I could do weightlifting with this thing. Well, time to put your money where your mouth is. Oh man, all right, my friends, we are just cooking with gas. We've come to the end of our second round of all of these exercises, so we are going into our third and final round. Oh man, and so last time for squats with the knee raise, here we go. Yeah, getting that in, and make sure that you're engaging that core as you stand up, again, helping to control the weight of your torso, because you're coming up really quickly into this balance position and then need to be able to get your feet back down for that squat. So you don't want to be losing control of any of the component pieces of your body, because that's going to throw you off balance and it's going to throw you out of whack for continuing the exercise. So God, our abs are amazing. Our abs do incredible stuff, okay? You should always be proud of your abs, because they're doing lots of work for us. All right, coming back around to our lunges, to the hand or elbow. So this is our last time for these. So each time you go down into this position and you come down to wherever you make it to, really make sure that you are also deepening that stretch, all right? So we're really stretching out our hips in both directions. I don't want your butt trying to push back up towards the ceiling. If anything, I want you to give a nice exhale and have everything come closer to the floor. Deepen into that stretch. Really feel it in both hips, okay? It's the culmination of what we start with the Samson stretches in our warm-up, basically. All right? Okay, last time for those side-to-side planks. So remember, we're not trying to rush our way through any of these, but particularly with the side-to-side planks. You know, this is an exercise that can be really useful as a physical therapy exercise if you have issues with your shoulder. That's how I first learned of it, was for helping with my own shoulder issues. And so, you know, the goal is that you feel the strength of your shoulder. My shoulder is not wobbling around. It is strength, it is engaged, and it is present. And then I come over to the other side, same thing. You have a lot of muscles that are coming into the shoulder socket, and we want to make sure we can engage them. We can really strengthen them because our shoulders are a very movable joint. So we need to be able to make sure that we can also stabilize them and keep them safe. Okay? Okay. Woo! My dears, I know that was the end of the hour. However, I want to end with a cardio tapata. We haven't ended with a cardio tapata in a while. So I want you back on your mats. Grab some water before you do so. But we're going to do turtle burpees. So, oh God. No, I did not mean to start the timer yet. Stop. I appreciate your enthusiasm, Tabata timer. So, turtle burpees. We did this last week in at least one of my classes. I can't remember if it was this one. But when I say turtle, you know we're starting by rolling up onto our backs and then up onto our feet like this, okay? So in this instance, roll up, hands down, back into a plank. Wave push-up, jump our feet forward, jump up in the air, then back down, and repeat ad infinitum, okay? So this is going to activate your brain because your brain is going, well, I know how to do burpees, but hang on, this is different. I need to actually pay attention to what's happening. So it gets your brain re-engaged in the process, and this is just a fun burpee style to round out class. Again, you know how much I love doing these turtle exercises because it reminds me of being a kid and just throwing your body around willy-nilly without a care in the world. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna end with that. So everybody back on your mats. 20 seconds of work, 10 seconds of rest, 8 times through. That was our stop sound, so don't be going yet. Knock, knock, knock. Now we are getting ready. We are getting set, and we are off. So rolling, if you have trouble getting up onto your feet without help, you can use a hand to push yourself up, okay? And then back to that plank, coming down, coming up, jump, and up again. So just really, just have fun. Just have fun, my friends. You are at the end of class. This is the last thing that we have to do. We do not have to hold back any more of our energy, all right? We have made it through class, a lot of really intense, long form stuff. We needed to make sure that we could challenge ourselves and go, 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 but that we also could make it through with enough energy to do the next thing. Well, this is the next thing. There are no other things after this, so I want you to take all of that remaining energy. I want you to leave it all on your mat. I want you to just get it out of your body. We're going for as much speed as you can give me, as much power as you can give me. We are here at the end of class. You've made it through an hour of class. You are so awesome, and you're going to go out there and have an incredible weekend. We got our cheerleaders, getting them out, taking them, putting them on the floor, next to our computers, next to our TVs, next to whatever monitor you are watching this stream on. They're throwing their pom-poms around everywhere. They're doing their best floor routine because they know that you have made it through an awesome class, and you just have 5 more sets, including the one that you were doing, to get through. And you know what? 20 seconds of work, 20 seconds, that's nothing. After having full minute perpetual motion sets, after having 12 minutes of toe squats, 20 seconds, you can absolutely do that. You have the power, you have the passion, you have the energy. You are halfway through. You're halfway through, so all you need to do is keep pushing a little bit longer. This is the time when I sound like a mad carnival barker, but you know what? It is important. We are here, we are on our mats, we are making a commitment to taking care of ourselves, to building out healthy bodies so that we can be mobile, so that we can have fun, so that we have the strength to do all of the things that we need and want to do in our lives. Whether that be dancing, whether that be climbing the stairs, climbing a 14er, attending a protest, you know, whatever you want to do, I want to make sure that your body is something that can support you in those goals. And coming here to class and getting started with class with me, well, that's just a great first step, my friends. You just have 2 more intervals to get through. This is your second to last interval. All right, so we are really getting that energy out. We've got the light at the end of the tunnel. It's coming closer and closer. Fewer than 40 seconds of work left because you are almost done with this interval, and then you just have 20 more seconds to push through. So we are here. All right, here comes that last one. We've got nothing else that we need to hold back. We're about to come to the end of class. We'll have a nice stretch session. We'll be able to take a shower, have some breakfast, hang out with our friends and family, you know, make plans for the future. Whatever we're doing, you can do it all because you have made it through this awesome class this morning, and you are ready to tackle whatever else you have going on in your life. Good job, everyone. Oh, good job. So good. Nice big breaths, my friends. Nice big breaths. Let's do a little stretching. How about? All right. Let's come back to our mats. Take our feet about hip width. Just nice, stable position. And we're gonna drop our chins to our chests, look down, and then look up at the ceiling, and down, and up, and down, and up. Bring the chin back down, roll the head to one side, so my ear is pointing down towards my shoulder, then back down through the middle, over to the other side. And we're just going to roll back and forth gently, not forcing anything, just rolling comfortably back and forth, probably feeling a lot of crackling, which is totally normal. All right, once you've evened out, come back through the middle, do a full circle, and reverse. Circle, and reverse. Oh yeah. And even yourself out, 2 more. Stop when your chin hits your chest. We are going to roll ourselves down 1 vertebra at a time, keeping the knees not locked, but not bent. 1 vertebra at a time until our hands reach the mat. All right, on an 8 count, so come with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh yeah. Shake your head out a bit, just to make sure that you're not clenching your neck, you're not holding it. We're just here. So again, I don't want your legs locked like this, like I'd have to punch the back of my knee to go anywhere. But I don't want them super bent, so you just have a small bend in the knee. So my legs still look straight, but I've got a small bend in the knee. And now we're gonna take another 8 counts, 4 counts to squat all the way down, 4 counts to stand back up to this position. Each time you stand back up, try and fold a little bit closer to the top of those thighs. All right, ready? And 1, 2, 3, 4, and up. 5, 6, 7, 8. Again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and up. 5, 6, 7, 8. Hands behind your ankles. Just try and pull yourself a little bit closer. Nice big breaths. Shake that head around again. Make sure you're not clenching your neck. You can sway your torso a bit side to side. Okay. And now we're going to bend our knees a little bit more deeply, and we're going to roll back up to the top. Again, 1 vertebra at a time on an 8 count. When you get to the top, stand still. Do not move. All right? Bend your knees. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Don't move. Don't adjust your hair. Don't adjust your clothes. Just feel the new height in your spine, the new length in your neck. Nice deep breaths, feeling the blood moving through your body, carrying all that oxygen. All right. Shake out a little bit. Let's just do one more stretch. So we're gonna do our pretzel-y stretch. All right, so this is we're gonna get a nice twist in the back, and we're gonna get a nice stretch in the hips. So I'm coming down here. I'm gonna take one leg and fold it. It's on the floor. I've folded it so the heel is on the outside of my opposite hip, and I've got that heel up against the hip as close as possible. Okay, so this leg folded on the floor. My other leg, I'm gonna put that foot flat on the ground next to this knee pointing up towards the ceiling. I'm gonna take the opposite arm as this leg, wrap it around, and pull that knee into my chest. So now I'm feeling a nice stretch on the side of my hip, okay? And then we are going to look behind us and reach an arm back and just twist. So we're getting a nice upright twist in our backs. We've got that nice stretch in the hips because we're pulling that knee into our chest, okay? And we're just gonna do nice deep breaths, 4 of them. Here we go. That's 1. That's 2. That's 3. And 4. Come back around. Don't unfold yet. So now I'm going to bring this ankle up on top of the knee. I'm flexing this foot, which is going to help protect this knee, because now what I'm going to do is just let myself fold forward. All right, so I'm really deepening the stretch in my hip. This is, if you've done a pigeon stretch, you recognize the feeling of this stretch, okay? So folding forward, and we're just going to do a couple breaths here. That's 1. And 2. Oh, all right. Stretch out. Unfold everything. Shake your knees out here in front of you. And then let's get ourselves into the same position, other side, okay? In our nice pretzel-y position, arm hugging that knee into your chest, feeling that stretch on the outside of your hip. Looking behind you, reaching to help deepen that twist. So So I've got the twist in my back. I've got my arm hugging my knee into my chest. We're going to take our 4 deep breaths here, all right? Here we go. That's 1. That's 2. That's 3. And 4. All right, come back to the front. Bring this ankle up onto that knee. Make sure you're flexing this foot to help protect your other knee. And then we fold over to get that nice, even deeper stretch through the hip. 2 big breaths here. That's 1. And 2. All right, unfold. Unfold, my dears. We are done. Yeehaw! Oh, what a nice way to start the morning. Oh my goodness, I do like this class. It can be hard, you know, getting up in the morning on a Saturday and feeling like I have to turn my brain on for the stream, but you know what? It is just so much fun to start my day this way, to be here with you all, get a little movement in. So thank you so much for joining me. This is the end of this week's streams. Hey, so we start up again next week on Tuesday at 5:45 p.m. All of my times are Mountain Time. I'll just caveat that now. So Tuesdays at 5:45 p.m. we've got Perpetual Motion, the class where we never stop moving. Wednesdays at 4:30 p.m. we have Jump Around, our cardio class. Fridays at 6 p.m. we have Functional Home Fitness, where we're weight training with found household objects. And then that brings us back around to next week, Saturday, and the weekend kickoff. So lots of options, lots of different class types. You know, each class has a different focus point. So try them all out. See what you enjoy, you know? And remember that you can always, if you're not able to make the stream time itself, you can always go back and check a VOD at a later time. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Facebook and Insta at Blanche Case Fitness, Twitter at Blanche C Fitness. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel where I put the VODs from the stream, and I'll be putting a lot of additional content, warm-up sequences, stretching sequences, videos that go over form for different exercise, lots of stuff like that. If you enjoyed yourself and feel financially able to drop me a couple of bucks, I do have a Ko-Fi account at Blanche Case Fitness. Donations always appreciated, never required. And if you want to help me build this channel and see more classes, more content, please consider following. And yeah, we've done a lot of awesome stuff, and there's just so much more that we can do. I'm really excited about all of it. So thank you for joining me, and I hope you have a great rest of your weekend, and I will see you again on Tuesday. Mwah! Have a great day.